papacy changed that during the Middle Ages. The founding fathers of the United States of America returned to the view of Jesus and the apostles. When they established the government of the United States of America, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, a government that recognized that there are two kingdoms in the United States, and we can be citizens of both kingdoms, the civil kingdom and the religious kingdom, but they should remain always separate. That was the view that Jesus and the apostles had held. But prophecy tells us that in the United States of America, these principles will be repudiated and the United States will return to the position that the papacy had during the 1260 years. In other words, they will make an image of that. And you say, Pastor Bor, you're crazy. That could never happen in the United States of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Listen, you don't think so? You say, well, we have the Constitution. We have the First Amendment. How could this ever happen? Listen, prophecy tells us that this beast that rises from the earth has two horns like a lamb, but at the same time that it has the horns, it speaks like a dragon. Let me ask you, is that kind of like a split personality type? Absolutely. You say, how is it possible that it has two horns like a lamb, the two principles that Jesus recognized, separation of church and state, civil and religious matters, separate one from another, and you're saying that at the same time that it has those two principles, that it's going to speak like a dragon, it's going to speak like Rome, it's going to persecute like Rome, it's going to join church and state like Rome? How could you say such a thing? The fact is that prophecy tells us that it's going to be that type of thing, because it's still going to have the two horns like a lamb, which we've identified as civil and religious liberty. But at the same time that it has those, it's going to speak like a dragon. In other words, the United States is not necessarily going to eradicate or gets rid of the First Amendment, but it is going to act contrary to the First Amendment. And you say, how is this possible? Well, the United States government has three branches. And you know which ones they are. They're the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. The executive branch enforces the laws. The legislative branch makes the laws or writes the laws. And the judicial branch, primarily the Supreme Court, interprets the laws and tells you whether they are constitutional or not constitutional. Let me ask you, what if Congress should write a law and actually give it for enforcement, and it's taken to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says this law is unconstitutional? What happens? The law does not go, right? But what happens if the Congress enacts a law that is unconstitutional, and somebody appeals it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says it is constitutional? Let me ask you, will that law be enforced? It most certainly will be enforced.